Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode number 266 of the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of John Boy Media. For the first time ever, I get to say welcome in World Series champion, Tyler Glasnow. That goes at the top of the resume. There you go. Yay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Good times. I know. I didn't participate, but it was still fun to hang out and watch.
Well, Come on now. Is that really the way we're going to start this thing off?
No, it's fine. Just kidding. It was great. It really was an awesome time. Like, that whole experience was, it would have been better to play, obviously, but like them, like the team getting together and winning, it makes it a lot more like less stressful, you know? I think like being injured sucks, not being able to participate, but like not being able to participate and then losing would hurt so much. But the fact that we won, it's like great experience.
All right, we'll get to that momentarily because we do need to talk about your journey. We haven't talked to you over the last several months. But let's start by going backward with your most recent excursion. Were you in Africa? Is that where you were?
Yeah, we did like a 2-week thing. The first week was safaris. It was in Zimbabwe, and then we did the Kruger National Park, and then the second half was like Cape Town and all that stuff. We did like Victoria Falls, and it was like a little half and half Johnson. A little like, yeah, there you go.
Okay, now so you're, what are you, 50 feet from an elephant there?
I don't know, maybe something like that, 30, 50 feet or whatever. Yeah, there's like the place that we were staying, they have like a little water hole, and they would just come up. So it was kind of cool. If you were hanging out there, you'd see a bunch of random animals. It was an awesome experience.
Okay. They are wild animals.
Yes.
I mean, yes. So there is the possibility that one of them could charge your way, I suppose.
Kind of. They're like, so the guy was telling us, like, when you stay in those cars, they kind of like, they assume, because all the animals there have seen those cars or whatever since they were kids. So when they see it, they just assume, this is what they tell me, it's like one big animal. And as long as you're not like standing up and doing stuff, they've never had like an incident. And the other place that it was at too has never had an incident, and they've been open forever. So we just followed the rules and sat in the car and saw all the animals. It was fun.
What was the coolest thing you saw?
I think the lions eating the kill the first day we got there was crazy. It was like a rhino. Yeah, that was pretty nuts. And then we looked for a leopard the entire time and then couldn't find it till like our second to last day. So when we found that was like, we'd seen all like the big five, and the only one we had left was a leopard because there was a bunch of lions, so none of them were around. So when we saw that was pretty cool too. Just searching for 5 days and finally seeing it, that was a good time.
So it's like the 5 boroughs in New York. What are the big 5? Elephant, lion,
what is it?
Leopard?
Elephant, lion, leopard, rhino, and I don't know. Wait, rhino, leopard, lion. Something. There's like an ugly 5 too. I don't know what's the last one. Robbie, what do you got? You gotta give us a search here.
Buffalo.
There you go. Yeah. Duh. Yeah.
So was the only rhino you saw the one being?
No,
eaten?
We saw a bunch of them. We saw a few of them. And then we saw, the first one I saw was dead, getting eaten. So that was an experience. And then we saw him like randomly throughout the trip.
And what did Megan think?
She loved it. This was like, she really, really wanted to go to Africa. Like, she loves doing the whole like in nature animal thing. And the whole time we were there, it's pretty sporadic. Like, you wake up at like 5 a.m. and then go out for like 4 hours. And the mornings can be slow sometimes. Then you go back and just hang out and like chill forever. And then you go back out at like 4:35 for like 5 or 6 hours, depending on the day. So there was a lot of downtime. So I think like when we were actually out there seeing animals, it was like insane. It was really cool. And then we'd go and kind of have nothing to do all day. Like the first one we went to, there was no Wi-Fi. So we were just like, you just have like 6-7 hours just being like, we would go work out and then just kind of chill and hang. It was kind of nice just like being away from it all and just kind of being like, what do? We can't have our phones. We don't really know what's going on. But it made it even more special to go out and see the animals because you were so like, everything was just like mellow. You'd go out and the only entertainment you had was seeing these like crazy animals. So it was very nature-y and a really cool experience. I'm glad I did it.
All right, much more with a world champion, Tyler Glasnow, coming up. But first, we are trying to crown a Blitzball Battle 5 champion. We are in the midst of the playoff run. We got another game coming your way every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Oh, we're almost here. It's almost championship time. Here's a taste of what is coming your way.
It is semifinal time here in the warehouse as Team Baggage takes on Lovias. It's been a while since we've seen them. They've been resting. They've been relaxing. They got their pitching in order. The tandem of Nicky Cass and Dalton Feely feeling great.
They feel great, and they are the favorites. They have obviously been swinging the bat as good as anybody until yesterday when we saw Baggage unlock something. Extra base hits. They were known for their singles, and I'm not just talking about Match.com. We're talking about actual singles. These guys could not get an extra base hit to save their lives. That all changed yesterday.
All right, prediction time. Kelsey Wingert, who do you have in this one?
Lavia is the only team to have a bye. Baggage is running hot. So because of that, I'm going to take Team Lovias because every time I try to take Team Baggage thinking that they're going to win, they lose. Baggage, but Lovias. You get it?
I haven't picked Lovias for obvious reasons, so I'm picking Baggage.
I got Baggage. I thought it was nuts. I still think I'm nuts, but I'm going to go with Baggage.
I love it.
The winner has a berth in the final. It's Blitzball Battle 5, presented to you by DraftKings.
So was it five-star resort-ish, or was it, tough camping? What was it?
No, the first one we went to was in like it was like the wild. So the second one we went to was a national park, which doesn't really mean anything. There's no like gates keeping anything in, but the first one was more wild, and it was like not super like in a tent, but it was like you had like a little lodge and you'd stay there, and then it was just in like the middle of everything, and then they had like a food thing, and then like you couldn't leave at night. It was just all kind of like your own little camp, and the only time you could go back and forth and like leave the areas if you were with someone in a car. So it was pretty like wildlifey. It wasn't like I said, on the ground in a tent, but it was just like a little lodge, like a little thing. Mm-hmm. And the second one we went to was a little bit more bougie, and I think I preferred the first one. Like it was we both really wanted to do it. And the first day we got in, we like took the flight there and looked over everything from a bird's eye view and then got down. It was just a very like cool experience I hadn't had before. And then we went to the second one. It was still fun, but I think we got like the crazy, like, wow, this is nuts feeling the first time. And then the bougie one had its fun moments as well, but the first one was way more fun.
And you went for 2 weeks, you said?
2 total weeks. And we did like a week worth of safaris and then like a week of just like going around different places and stuff, going to like Cape Town. And we went to, some just like the farmlands and stuff like that. Like it was cool wine country and stuff.
So which continent do you have left? Antarctica?
Yeah, I got to go there. I think that's it. I'd have to go look at a map. From all the places I've been, I'm still geographically just like an idiot. Like trying to figure it out in my brain where everything is. I'm pretty sure, Antarctica, probably. I think I've been everywhere, every other continent, I guess.
So when we open up your passport, and you go back and you look at all the countries that have stamped that thing, which is the one that gives you the best memories?
I have to give this a few more months to like really set it, because I always have like you're in the middle of doing it and you're moving and doing a lot of stuff, so it's fun, but it's also like stressful because you're moving around and doing all this stuff, and those end up being the most memorable ones. But like later down the line, when you think back on it and you're like, wow, that was crazy, because I think part of the fun experience is like it is kind of a struggle. You know what I mean? You're moving and doing stuff all the time, so I'd have to to give it a full answer, I'm gonna have to wait like 2 months. But I would say, as of now, probably this one in Peru last year was cool too. Thailand was awesome, but Peru and this was probably like the coolest places I've been, just because they're so different and so unique, and like you're not knowing what to expect.
Do you know an idea of what's next for you?
No, I'm not sure. I actually don't know if me and Megan are even going to do anything next year. We'll go. Maybe. We're still looking at it. We always end up like in the beginning of season, kind of planning it, or like in spring. Right. Like for right when season ends, but we haven't nothing's concrete yet.
Okay. Before that, we saw you at a victory parade.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed. I got to be honest with you. I didn't know.
You and me both.
Yeah, I didn't know how LA was going to do with something like that, because they hadn't had one since 1988. They couldn't celebrate one in 2020. What was it like when you turn the corner on those buses and there's just a sea of humanity?
It was crazy. It was very out of body experience. I had no idea that seeing that many people in an area, I've never seen that before. And I don't know how much it was, but I heard it was millions of people, and it seemed like it. It was just a sea of people. Every street we would turn on, we'd think of oh, that was fun. And then we'd go to another place and it was just wide open downtown streets, just full of people. And I think too, there was a little bit of a FOMO type of deal after the 2020 one, just because they couldn't do the parade. So I think this one just felt even better, and it was just I had none of us, I feel like, were expecting what that was. And there were some guys on the bus that have experienced some World Series parades before, and we're like, this was way crazier. It was just the sheer amount of people was like so hard to like comprehend. I just kept sitting there, like no one was really talking. We just kept looking at each other like, this is insane. Like no one had any idea it was going to be like that.
There were some great moments with the speeches. Flaherty stumbling all over himself.
That was fun.
And Oral Hershiser making the game-saving catch on that. I thought that that was really good. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hammered were you?
I wasn't super drunk. I think I was like kind of pacing myself in the day. I knew I had a long day ahead of me, so we had that, and then we had Mookie's house, and we went out after. So I was like, I'm not gonna go crazy here. But I was feeling pretty good. We're hanging out, and everyone was drinking on the bus. It was very social, good time, and just like that relief kind of deal. End of the year, everyone's like we're fully kind of decompressed. Not fully decompressed because there's all that stuff going on, but like you don't have to be in the routine of waking up and playing every day and having that in the back of your mind. So I think it was just a fun experience for everybody, like seeing how relaxed guys were, and it was great.
How cool was Mookie's house? Just where you guys are just hanging out with, I imagine, just your significant others and
yeah, he lives. It's like he lives in it's like a studio apartment, and like down there. So it was just fun. I'm just kidding. It was crazy. His house is insane. It's like it's unbelievable, and it's very like custom to him too. I feel like it's like very much like a Mookie thing. It seems like a very thought through house, and he likes to do all the extracurricular things like bowl and pickleball and bass. He's got all this stuff in there. It's like honestly, it's like a 12-year-old's dream. It's any man's dream, but like it's literally like all the sports and activities you can think of, plus this sick ass house, and his family's always around. He's got a really cool thing going on, and like he's always around the people that he loves, and he's a very social dude, So I think like looking at that and then having all of us come into his house with his family, it was just a really cool experience. And like he really did it up too.
Because as much as time as you guys spend together, it's always either in the clubhouse, at the field, on a plane, on a bus, in a different city. You don't kind of immerse yourselves. It's not like, hey, let's have a day off. Let's go over to Mookie's house and hang out. That just doesn't happen. So when you bring these worlds together where you do spend so much time and it is a true brotherhood, and then he kind of opens up his world to you, that is neat, I think.
Yeah, it was cool. It was just like something I hadn't experienced before. I just think going through the whole way, being the winners and like being able to have that all the camaraderie, like with your teammates together, and it's just crazy. Like the last time we didn't win the World Series, it was 2020. You're not hanging out after, and like you just lost, and everyone's like, all right, I'm going home type of thing. It was just such a different dynamic, and like it was cool for him to like open up his doors, and we all went and we all hung out. And we had been so close that whole entire postseason, and I feel like it was a really unique situation where like we were busing everywhere and like hanging out with each other all the time, and it was just to have that post celebration made it even. It was just really, really cool.
And then I did hear we had Vesey on the show and Miggy Rowe as well, since you guys were world champions. And they did say that the night out was pretty fun after Mookie's.
It was great. It was honestly every round we won, we kind of went out. And like the first one we went out, second one we went out, third one went out. So it was just like every time we had so much fun, and it just got better and better and better. Even the celebrations were like that too. Like each round we had advanced, it was crazy that it all just built up to the World Series moment. And we had such a good time. It was a very like social group of people, and it was just such a very unique, like close knit feeling. And I think you kind of get separated from that in Major League Baseball, I guess, compared to like think about like Little League or high school or college or whatever. But like it felt very much like that. It almost felt like the minor leagues again, where everyone was around all the time, and it was great.
But that night where you went out in L.A., and I heard that you guys were just amongst regular people, like it wasn't a special room somewhere. Like you were immersed with a bunch of people. For you, I imagine it was very different. You grew up here. You went to Dodger games as a kid. I mean, we've talked about this. You weren't like the biggest sports fan growing up, but it was your team. Could you get a different feeling how important it was to Dodger fans what you just accomplished? Because
that was probably the biggest, not surprise, but like obviously, growing up here, how diehard, like how everyone is just so involved with baseball. But I think fully like seeing not only the fans during the games at the stadium, but like the parade really let it set in for, I think, a lot of people. Like, wow, this is very important to so many people. And you look at, it was however long the parade was, but I just remember seeing the people in the front being like, what time did you get here? And then behind them was like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And I think if I was like not a parade. This is a different situation, but like for me to go somewhere that early and sit there and everyone had a smile on their face. Everyone was having such a good time. You'd kind of think like someone just be like, I've been here for 7 hours, but it was just sheer like happiness. And it was just this big sense of relief for like the entire city that like, it was cool to just experience it and win and like have this team that we've had or have the team that we're going to have for a while to go and like kind of like that first year and win with Show and everyone, and then like sign some more guys. It's just such an exciting time, and like it's just only up from here.
We are recording this on a Wednesday. It's the day after Blake Snell officially became your teammate yet again.
Mm-hmm.
You text him?
Yeah, I did. I can't wait to just give him daps and tell him congratulations. Like I loved being on his team with the Rays. I also love how nasty he is and how good he is in the postseason. So it's all of us are super excited for him.
Now, you guys are both, you have totally different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not, I like to say typical baseball guys, and I don't mean that in a demeaning sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some guys who are just like, they'll give you the canned answer and all that sort of stuff. You guys are totally different thinkers than one another, but you make it fun when you do interviews and things of that nature. I listened to his press. Did you listen to his press conference?
No, I didn't even look at it.
Okay.
I didn't listen to the whole press conference. It was yesterday, right?
It was.
Yeah.
One thing, they asked him about Game 6 of the 2020 World Series, where he was no-hitting the Dodgers. Then he finally gave up a hit, and Kevin Cash came out and took him out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a lot of talk, and we've talked about it. And they asked him, how much does he think about that? He said, I don't even think about it. He's like, everybody else thinks about it. He goes, it was really, I had never shown Kevin Cash anything other than come get me. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I could have made it tougher on him to pull me out of that game. And I thought it was like a real mature answer for him. I have a feeling you're going to see a totally different Blake Snell than the one you left a few years ago when he got traded to San Diego.
Yeah, I think even when I played with him then, like he was always like a professional, you know, he's always very like put together and like as far as baseball stuff goes, like very kind of knew what he needed to succeed and stuff. Like I look at Blake as like pretty mature, put together dude. Like I guess I don't look at like all the interviews and stuff like that, but like, yeah, I mean, he's always been a professional ever since I played with him. I've always respected him a ton. And I think that is a really good answer. And I think if you go back and look at the video too, like when Cash comes to take him out, he's like, what are you doing? But it was. And I think him and Cash are good friends. They've always had a good relationship too. So I think maybe they kind of understood each other on like a certain wavelength maybe. And I don't know if that was his experience with all that, you know?
All right. You know what we all need a little bit more of? To get off our ass with bold flavors and a refreshing citrus kick, Mountain Dew will get you off your ass and have you feeling like you're on an actual mountain. A mountain where the weather is always perfect. Your friends are ready to hang and a day of epic proportions awaits. You know what I want you to do? Head on outside. Find something that is equal parts fun and competition. Go do a 3-point shooting contest, a putting contest, a longest drive contest. Play Frisbee golf. Go play blitzball, pickleball, any kind of ball out there. Why? Because the mountain is calling and you should answer. So grab your friends. Grab an ice-cold Mountain Dew wherever refreshing beverages are sold. And I got 3 words for you. Do the do. Been a lot of talk around the game that because of the deferred money, most recently to Snell and to Tommy Edman, who got a 5-year extension.
Mm-hmm.
Not that everybody knows the rules are the same for everybody, but the Dodgers, because of their financial situation, can use it to their benefit much more than most major league teams. Are those people that are bringing that point up whiners, or is there some legitimacy to that?
I guess it would. I don't know. I think you got to look back at like the history of like the Yankees kind of did that whole. You know what I mean? Like they always had powerhouses. You talking like strictly deferred money, or are you talking just
because they've deferred over $1 billion through the late 2040s seasons, and not people say, well, everybody can do that. The reality is not every team can do that. You played for a team in Tampa Bay that couldn't do that. I root for a team in Cleveland that could not do that. They just don't have the financial wherewithal. And people say, well, you've got the 6th richest owner. That's net worth. He would have to sell off a ton of businesses to get the cash flow that other teams have. And I'm not complaining about the situation. I'm just saying, do you understand that why people complain about it, or are they just being whiners?
No, I mean, I get it, I guess, but I guess the answer, kind of what you said, is like everybody could defer money. Like it might be a financial benefit for maybe a small market team to do something like this, knowing like the trend where baseball's going, and like not having to. You can take that money and invest it in whatever. I'm assuming if you own a team, like you probably know how to invest it more so than like the average Joe. And I think if you're going to pay a guy $30 million, but you only have to pay them 15 early, and then you can take that money and gain interest on it, and then pay as you go and go. No one knows what the future is, but I think financially it just makes more sense. And I don't know if it's ever. I guess they used to do it like the Bonilla story. People have deferred money before, but I think it just seems to be like the trend of stuff. And I think the Dodgers started doing it recently, and I bet a lot more teams are going to start doing it just to get like that overall. Everyone wants that like high AAV type of thing. And even if you're not getting it now, it's like I think people just want their value, whether it's now or like deferred. But I think it's just a good strategy, to be honest. Like I think there's nothing, they didn't do anything wrong. I think it's just good,
Right.
it's just good business, and you're trying to like win and kind of create this huge powerhouse in LA. But it's true, like nothing is stopping other teams from doing it. Like they kind of see the playbook, and other people just got to go and sign more guys, I guess.
Do you think that you guys are hated because of it?
I think we're probably hated regardless of that. Like I think just being a good team and like having a lot of superstars on the team, and being in a city like LA where it's people who are from other cities, like there just has that like civic pride type of thing. Like people who are not from LA probably don't love LA, and the team is really good. So that's just what I think, that's what sports is built on though. Like you need a like a Death Star type of thing. And I think it's kind of the Yankees were that for a long time and won so many championships and kind of just like out payrolled everybody. And I think there's a lot more owners and more opportunity for that now. I do think it's probably more scaled towards like the really rich owners, but I think in the years past, like it hasn't always been biggest payroll, especially nowadays. Biggest payroll doesn't always win. You know what I mean? Like it's just the last few years, it hasn't been like the highest payroll has won. It's been some smaller markets and then Texas, you know what I mean? So it's baseball's such a hard sport to where you definitely increase your chances by paying more guys, but that's not like a for sure win, you know?
No, it's true. I mean, in the last, I think, 15 or 20 years out of, I have to exclude hockey, and I apologize to all our great NHL fans out there, but I don't watch it on a daily basis the way that I do NFL or NBA or Major League Baseball. And so, yeah, Major League Baseball has had the most different number of teams, varied matchups in the World Series than as opposed to the NBA Finals or the Super Bowl. However, I would counter that by saying that since 2000, I believe there's only been 3 teams that have won it all that have been in the bottom half of payroll.
Okay.
And that hasn't necessarily been the case with some other sports. But, I mean, that's no big shock, right? If you pay money for better players, it's going to increase your chances of winning it all. So
I guess that's the ratio too. If you are like a big market team, like I guess it doesn't guarantee your chances of winning. Like getting to the playoffs and having an opportunity to compete is obviously much higher if you pay more guys. But like I guess what are the winners of the last 20 years? How many is it? Like a majority is in the top like 5%, or is it like top, or not top 5%, top 5 teams, or is it like top like half, upper half like that?
It's more like probably top 8 to 10 of teams that have. You could throw over the last 15 years, you could throw a couple of those Boston teams in there. I think, I think the Cubs were probably pretty high in 2016. The Giants were always on the cusp of the top 10 when they won their 3 titles in 10, 12, and 14.
Yeah, true.
So, but it is also, in my opinion, the hardest sport to have the best team go all the way through.
It's just a momentum thing too, and like you've seen a few years too, like that. Like Arizona went on that roll, and like Texas got really hot, and just kind of like whoever's got the momentum for that month generally plays the best. And I think this year I think we had the best team, and we also had the momentum, and it was just like a nice little perfection duo type thing.
So one thing I thought that was great about your team was the number of hurdles that it jumped over, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about injuries, big names being lost. It felt like every month you guys were dealing with this. And they asked Max Muncy, I believe this was during the World Series, about what happened when you were lost for the year. So let's give a listen to this.
Your big pitcher gets told he can't pitch the rest of the year, and that was kind of like man, not again. It was just a big kick in the gut, and we had to have a big team meeting about it, and just remind everybody we still have numerous All-Stars and Hall of Famers in this room. We can still go out there and do this, and obviously this sucks. We want Tyler to be out there, but we can still do this. We still believe in ourselves, and we had to have that meeting and go around the room and for everyone to look at themselves and say, yeah, we still have a very good roster, and we've dealt with a lot, and this is no different.
How's that make you feel when you hear that?
Yeah, I mean, I think even when it happened, like that made me remember the day of like going out there and like warming up to try to get back to doing it, and then just realizing like this isn't a good idea, and then going in. And I think when they had that meeting in Atlanta too, I wasn't getting like an MRI and stuff. And I think that's it hit me when I came off the mound and was like, I can't, like, it was just all kind of like a whirlwind, and I was just trying to figure everything out and get the MRI and like really know for sure. And yeah, it definitely sucked. I think too, that was like the thing keeping me like really motivated, was the idea that like coming back, and I obviously getting another elbow injury fucking sucked, but it was like, all right, my goal is still to come back and pitch in the postseason. Like, that's why I'm here. So when that I couldn't, that definitely, I think the feeling of like, not only for me getting hurt again, but mostly like for the team, like I'm here to help the team win in the postseason. And I felt so bad, and clearly like I didn't do it on purpose, but like, I think the 2 years prior to that, getting out in the first round, like everyone was so hungry to go in and pitch in the postseason. And I think like the way it shuffled out to where we played San Diego in the beginning, like especially early on, it was just, I was stressing out, like not being able to participate, and not being able to like help the team. And like, you're just in there hurt, like not doing, you know what I mean? Like I'm in there doing like rehab stuff and lifting and working out to try to get healthy. And it's just like, these guys are grinding, doing stuff. And you kind of just feel like, not in the way, but just, you just want to be out there to help. And when you can't, it kind of sucks. It's like a hard feeling to describe, but it blows pretty hard.
Were there tears for you?
No, I think I guess maybe I didn't show it in that way. Like I think I manifest it more in like just fucking mental ruminations of like the same, you know what I mean? It was just like obsessive, annoying, like not again type of things. Like I don't necessarily think, it wasn't like a tear thing, but it was frustrating. I don't think that's how I get like messed up by a situation. It was more just like obsessing over it all the time and just being like, I can't control it type of thing. And it's just like, again, and there's nothing I can do right now to come back and pitch. And it was just kind of like the mental up and down was probably the hardest part of it.
Who'd you talk to about it?
Just like family and people there, and like to other dudes. Like I've talked to Kershaw a little bit about it, and like talked to Barnes and stuff like that. And mostly like, like Megan and my family and agent and stuff like that. And I just think it comes down to the point, like, not to be like callous or anything like that, but it's just, it is what it is. And the more I like think about it and ruminate on it, like, I'm not going to change it. It's hard to get out of the mental cycle of it sometimes, but like, as bad as it would get, it's like, I can't do anything about it. Like, I did everything I could to stay healthy, and it didn't work out, and just try not to let it like ruin your day, And there was a couple of days it did, but you just try to like get over it and then set your goals for the next season, and like what I can do in rehab now to feel good and all that stuff.
And where are you right now physically? You good?
Yeah, I feel really good. I've got like MRIs and everything are good. Doing all like the rehab stuff towards the end of the year, and then like working with the daughters and doing all my lifting and everything like that. But like the second MRI I had was really good. Didn't show anything. My arm feels great. I'm starting to throw right now. So I'm pretty optimistic for next year. And I think I'm going to try and go through this off season and like kind of rewrite and figure out like what I can do, like what I've done in the past that I could change, to just try to like switch some stuff up to like deload, or maybe it's like to go a little bit more into long toss with not so much effort, and like try to just change a couple things to try to minimize like stress throughout the year.
Have you thrown a baseball?
Yeah, I threw the third time today. So it was like 60 feet today, and it feels good. Timing feels good. Arm feels good. So hopefully it can just keep going. It's hard to tell now. You got to like keep going and going. But like, I guess I'm not super worried just with how I feel and like all the MRIs and everything like that.
But I imagine with as much pitching depth as this franchise now has, that they would want to say to you, listen, you might be anxious about being ready for the opener. Listen, bro, take your time. We are a great team. We know you're anxious. We need you the back half of the year, and most importantly in September and October. Is that a philosophy, or is that am I off base?
No, it's not something we've really talked about yet. Like, I know for a fact, like, I don't know who's going to pitch at the beginning of the year, but I went and did like the first Korea opener last year. So I don't know what their plan is with all that, but it was me and Yamamoto to start the year. And so that kind of like having an early spring 2 years in a row, I'm sure they'll come about that a little differently. But I think as I get closer to spring, I'll have an idea of like what the plan is exactly for season. We haven't really had any sort of talks like that, but my progression right now is a lot slower than it was in the past. Like I'm going to try and like really ease into throwing for the first month, get everything solid, and just like not ramp up to full speed so quick. Like use spring training more as just to try to feel everything out and then just try to prolong it throughout the course of the year and just find, like I said, find ways to like deload and not stress my arm all year long,
Yeah. Well, we're rooting for you on a lot of stuff, and we appreciate you kind of sharing because I know it's not easy to talk about. I get it, but people are curious about how you've dealt with things, and because you got traded here, and then you signed your extension because you wanted to be a part of that, and to miss out on it, I imagine is really something that's a kind of a kick in the balls, and you had to deal with it. It's not fun.
Yeah, it sucked, but I mean, I'll be here for a while, and our team is going to be really good for a while too. So I'm looking ahead. Just hopefully you can get back to the playoffs this year and just go back to back. It's been a while since someone's done it, so I think that's like the only goal right now. Not the only goal, but like what I'm thinking about the most. Just like go in and help my team as much as I can and like participate in the postseason.
How excited are you to share a rotation now with Shohei?
That's going to be fun. I mean, Snell, Shohei, Yama, Bobby, Kershaw. Like, there's so many people. It's going to be insane. Like, it's going to be a really, really good rotation. And just to watch, like, on a daily basis, like, just to watch Shohei, like, hit and also come back and pitch, just to see, like, his whole routine and, like, how you even tackle that throughout the course of a season, that's going to be the most interesting thing. Like, how the training aspect of it, like, what you do throughout the week. He's got it figured out, but it's be interesting for me to see firsthand.
Well, yeah, because how sore are you after just a regular start?
I'm more of a like the not the day after, but the following day. That's when like the soreness hits. So pretty sore. I'm so used to it that like it's hard for me to judge. Like if someone who hadn't pitched felt it would be like, wow. But it's just like, oh yeah, I'm sore. It's like you're just always sore in the same places. It kind of deviates depending on like how your mechanics were, how stressful the innings were and stuff. But nothing crazy. But definitely, like, you feel it, when you go throw 100 pitches, like, you're aware that you threw 100 pitches.
And then, I mean, you're going to be amazed then when 2 days after his start, he's hitting balls 420. Like, I think it's the least talked about aspect of what he does.
Yeah, for sure. And just having to, like, hit the day you pitch and plus all the other stuff after it's a lot to juggle. And I think you need to be a very, like, chill, forget things quick type of guy, and I feel like he's perfect for it. Like his mentality and the way he is throughout the course of a season, it's like I feel like he's probably one of the few people that can even put that on during an entire season.
Well, now that you've had a full year with him, do guys turn into like little baseball fans when he's out there doing his thing? Like, do you guys talk to each other and you're like, this is insane?
Definitely. It's always when, like, I think for the most part, when you spend so much time with someone, like I don't think anyone on the team looks at Shohei like how everyone else does. You know what I mean? Like from afar, like the farther removed you are, the more like the story gets grander and grander and grander. And I think like there'll be moments in the dugout where he'll hit a ball like 119 miles per hour over the stadium, and we'll all just be like, what the like people make comments all the time, but I think because you're around him on a day-to-day basis, you become so close and like so it's just like that's Shohei. That's just a dude, that's a guy on our team. But then he'll do things to remind you that like, oh yeah, that guy's really good. Like he'll just do crazy stuff. And for a lot of times, we'll watch him just do something wild, break a record or hit a ball really far, and we all kind of just look at each other like, this guy's not real.
You all had a video him walking through Japan next year at the beginning of the season.
I wonder how that's even going to go. Yeah, I wonder if he's going to have like 50 security guards. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get a video. Our security's probably going to hit my phone out of it. It's going to be wild. I kind of feel bad for him a little bit. Like I don't think he feels bad for himself, but I just think the fact you're going to go to the beginning of the season in Tokyo, and he's basically Justin Bieber. So it's going to be tough. But if anyone can not care about it, it's him.
Well, yeah, Vinny Pasquantino, the Royals, played for Team Italy in the 2023 World Baseball Classic and had to play Team Japan over in Japan. And he said you couldn't walk 5 feet without something Shohei. It was like, it was unlike anything you'd ever seen before. He just is.
I bet, especially to see like all the Oh, like the stuff in the U.S. is obviously crazy. And like you just the media and like coming from the Rays to see what that media was like, and then coming here to see the Dodgers media. Like I can only imagine what it's going to be like going to Japan. Like I remember seeing something where it was like 15.5 million people in Japan watched the World Series, and it was like 13.9 or whatever in the United States. It's like a smaller place with less people. That's just like it's just like a religion. Baseball is just crazy. They just love him.
And at 8 a.m.
Exactly. It's wild. It's really, really crazy.
Why do you think Clayton Kershaw is coming back?
I think he's like I think from what I've seen this season, like he's so much more than just like a starting pitcher on the team. Like he's been there for so long, and like he's almost like ingrained within the fabric of the Dodgers. Like he's such a huge clubhouse presence, and like his reach goes beyond baseball for sure. Not only within the city, but like just the organization itself. It's almost like he's as much of a coach as a player kind of thing too, and it's just a familiar vibe. And I think I think it's hard for him to probably hang it up too. Like that dude is such a competitor and such a like a routine oriented person. Like every single day he was always, you could just tell everything was on like a clock. He would do everything very specifically to his routine. And I think he's just so used to it, and like he just loves it so much. And like he's a very social, like big presence in the clubhouse. It's just like it's probably a hard thing to do for 16 or however many years and then just not do it anymore. And I think he wants to end on his own terms, and like have a chance to participate. And I think it was hard for him not to be able to play and to be injured this last year. I don't think he's trying to end it on that.
And I felt so good for him that he got to speak to the crowd.
That was awesome. That was so sick. Yeah, it was.
That was really nice because he didn't get a chance to do it in 2020. He had to deal with the narrative of him not living up to his own standards in October baseball and all that sort of stuff. And for him, even though he, like you, had to be spectator and not participant in the Fall Classic, I thought that was a really great moment.
And to see, like, to get to know him throughout the year and then to see him get emotional, it's like, what the you know what I mean? Like, it's not something you see every day. And, like, you could just tell how much it means to him. Like, I've never seen that guy tear up before. And so for him to just go up there and, like, kind of get choked up and like, I just think the city and, like, all of that stuff, it means so much to him that it was a really cool moment to watch him get up there and be emotional. It was cool.
Yeah. And I thought my favorite moment, though, because I'm a sucker, I loved Teoscar Hernandez tearing up.
That was too. I remember being like, you just sit there and you're like, oh my God, like what's going on? It was just too, like, he helped us so much this year, and he was so happy. Like the second he got to the Dodgers, he just fit in like a glove. And I think it really resonated with him how much the fans loved him and like how important the World Series was to the city in that moment. I think it just was kind of like a whirlwind for him of like, he participated and helped so much during it, and then just to get like the fans to reciprocate the love was just like, it's just crazy when you see dudes cry. It's nuts. Like guys who aren't emotional cry. It's just, especially too over like baseball. It like transcends. It's not just a game. It's very much like, it's just the whole city. It's like one big old heartbeat. It's really cool.
Do you cry much?
Not really, no. I'm sure I'll cry for like random things. Like I get like if I watch like a sad movie, I get a little teary. I get a little something like that, but not like a ton with. And I think maybe baseball has made me. When I was little, I used to be a little crybaby. Like I used to in elementary school, I couldn't. I would do the cries where like you'd and like try to talk, but you could you'd cry so hard. And I really think baseball and like the emotional sway of baseball in the minor leagues, I think I kind of like not like ran away from it, but I feel like you get good at like, okay, this is a thing. You experience this emotion, like feel it and kind of get over it. Now I have to make a pitch type of thing. And I think you just get like, for me anyway, I think I kind of, like baseball's kind of tempered that, I guess. It's kind of crazy. It sounds a little sociopathic, but like, I think it has helped me in baseball. Yeah, I think Megan wished I cried a little bit more too. She's told me that before. She's like, I've never even seen you cry. So maybe in the future, maybe we'll watch a sad movie together and we'll cry or something.
And I don't know if I've always been kind of an emotional person. So I have no problem admitting when I cry or that I do.
Yeah.
I think it's a good, healthy emotion. Like Jim Valvano, of course, the late coach at NC State, who they've done an amazing job of raising so much money through the V Foundation. At his speech, it was really his last public appearance before passing away, where he's talking about the emotions. And one of the three things he always told, I think it was to laugh, to love, and to cry every day. And if you do that, then you've had a great day. Like, I think that's pretty good. It really is pretty good.
I think it's probably like a good, healthy thing. I don't know why I don't, but
Well,
it's
start
weird.
rubbing some Tabasco in the corner.
Yeah,
of the
there
eye.
you go.
Let's
Just
get
give it
those
a little
waterworks
push.
going,
Yeah.
please, if you don't mind. I know that you really don't like baseball's not your thing in the off season. And it shouldn't be. Have you paid attention to what Rob Manfred said about this golden at bat recently on a
No.
podcast? Okay,
No.
good. Oh, I love this that you don't know. He just said they're kicking around the idea of having a golden at bat, and there aren't details ironed out. But the basic premise is team can pick once a game any batter in any situation to come up, and it doesn't matter where you are in the lineup. So let's say it's the 7th inning and the bases are loaded and there's 2 down, and you want to send up Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You're at the bottom of the lineup and your number 9 hitter's coming up. Instead, we want to send up Vladdy. It's the one time you can fire this bullet, and that's it. Is that nuts, or does it sound intriguing?
My initial response is like, that kind of sounds intriguing. But then the other side of me is like, the game of baseball is like so reliant on tradition. And like, obviously there's been some rule changes and everything, but like, you worry that maybe you don't want to make too many changes too quick. But the other part of me is like, that's pretty fun. That seems kind of amazing. Like, that would be a really, really interesting proposal, I guess. I just don't know how you would like iron all that out, but I don't know. What do you think? Are you out or in on it?
I am in on listening because because my number one thing is that sometimes our best players don't get to participate in it. It took Shohei 7 years to get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right? Mike Trout has had 13 playoff at-bats. That's not good for the sport. You know, at the end of a game, you wanted Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant taking the last shot. Now, there were other times where a Jim Paxson or a Steve Kerr would hit it, or in baseball, we've got Bucky Dent hitting a home run in 1978, not Reggie Jackson for the Yankees. Like, those are great moments in the history of this sport. But, man, how much fun would it be when they're like, nope, you're coming back. Vlad, get your ass up there. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be pretty fun. I think, too, as far as, like, highlights go and, like, special moments, it's going to go up, like, 5X. So I guess, like, from like a business perspective, it's obviously like a no doubter. From a fan perspective, from the ones that aren't like annoyed by the game changing, you know, I think that's like probably a win. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty intriguing. I kind of like it.
Okay. So now let me put you on the mound. It's now the 7th inning.
Mm-hmm.
You've pitched a great game, but you got in a jam, and they've actually let you try and get out of this. So I don't even know how real that is for starting pitchers anymore, but play along with me.
Okay.
So now you're facing the Atlanta Braves. It's a big game, the Atlanta Braves. And instead of Orlando Arcia, they are now announcing Ronald Acuna Jr. is stepping to the plate. Aren't you a little bit like, fuck?
Yeah, it would depend on the game. Sometimes, like, the best you feel is in the 7th inning, and then there's many times where the worst you feel is in the 7th inning. So it would depend on the specific kind of situation, but it's definitely on a statistical level probably not going to be a good thing for the pitchers. But like, I think for the enjoyment and the like fandom, it would be really cool. I guess my only question is, say I'm not. So yeah, I'm assuming what would happen for the most part is when they bring that guy in, they probably take you out, put a reliever in. But if you're in the 8th inning, and it's a tie game or whatever, and they choose to use it then, and the guy that's in the game has only thrown to one hitter, and then they want to put the guy, can you change the rules to 3? You know what I mean? Like, you can bring in whoever you want. Yeah.
There's going to be all sorts of stuff. And I did a radio interview where the guy was like, well, what if your best hitter got hurt earlier in the game, checked out of the game in the 2nd inning, but then he checked out all right, and he was healthy enough to come back in the game or something like that? Could you hit him again in the 7th inning, even though he's been out of the game for 5 innings? I was like, okay, now we're going nuts.
That's probably not a thing. I'm assuming like once you're out, you're out. Like, keep the normal traditional baseball rules there. But I like where his head's at. I guess that is pretty interesting.
Yeah. No, I'm in for at least listening. I know a lot of people have said Manfred will automatically become the worst commissioner. Just listen. You don't have to do this tomorrow. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's, I'm okay.
I guess it depends on like what I think a lot of the decision making at times isn't just like, I think they poll a lot of fans and like what fans would want, like to try to like get viewership up and everything like that. So I guess it would kind of depend on like what a majority of people think. And I don't know how you could like survey millions of people, but like they have their kind of like smaller groups that reflects like the overall opinion of people there. I guess it would, just, I guess like you said, just listen and see what the fans would want.
Well, both my brother and nephew work in marketing research. If you want an internship over the winter, let me know. I can set this up for you. You can be a difference maker. All right, before we get you out of here, what's on the docket for the rest of the year? What are we doing? Anything fun?
Not really. I'll probably go to Mexico one more time, just like a quick little something, and like around New Year's or something like that. Just when nothing's open, like and can't be home and everyone will be gone, like the gyms and all that stuff. But for the most part, I'm in LA right now, starting to throw. So I'm with the team for a little bit, then I go back home, and I'm just training this entire time and just like staying on a routine and doing stuff until Christmas time, and then staying home, lifting, doing all that stuff. Like getting back into like once you start throwing every day too, you can't, like I never like to leave because I want to get everything like, it's kind of keeps it like an in-season feel. So nothing, I'm boring now. It's just a lot of training and a lot of going to bed early and waking up and lifting and doing it all over again.
Are you watching anything good?
I started AP Bio yesterday, and I'm not really one for like laugh track sitcom, type stuff. Like it's like on a big network. I was like, it's gonna be cheesy, but it's kind of good. Like the dude from Always. Oh, I actually think it's hilarious. Like for a sitcom, like a network sitcom, it's fine. I'm more like a not big. You know what I mean? Like I feel like all the good stuff now is on like a self-produced type thing, or like Tires on Netflix, or like Gillian Keeves, like that type of stuff where it's like no filter stuff I really like. But for this, as like a big network show, I think it's great. The guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia too does a great job. So I thought it was really funny.
Okay, well I've heard mixed things, but I'm happy you're enjoying it.
It's a little corny, but it's also kind of funny.
My wife and I went way backward. Yeah. We are in season 3 of Dexter.
I stopped watching that after like a season and a half, but that was a good show. What about like Sopranos? You ever watch that?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gone back and watched it, but yeah, I watched it all. Loved it.
All the good shows I feel like it's a lot of things have changed. People always say that as time goes on. It's like, they don't make them like they used to. But like, I think all the nostalgic feels, I've just TV'd out so hard in my day. I feel like I've seen everything. So now I'm just like, I'm not a big TV guy anymore.
It does feel that way.
Yeah.
Well, tell your family we say hello. Have you gone and seen your, you got a nephew, right? A whole nephew?
Yeah, so that's what we went for. Africa was 2 weeks, and then the day later we hosted Thanksgiving, me and Megan at my place. So we had like 14 people, and Ted and Carly came and like cooked everything. And Meredith is Megan's brother's girlfriend. She helped out cooking, and like everyone, it was a whole thing. We were all jet lagged and stuff, but they all came and cooked, had a whole thing. So like the whole family was together. It was cool to see my nephew and everyone's family hanging out. It was a really fun time.
How do you do with holding a baby?
I do well with it. I'm pretty locked in. The first time I was a little like, and like when they're so little, and like I think too, even like the first time I would burp him, and like you kind of like go slow, and they're like, no, fucking hit that kid.
Yeah,
like,
you do.
You gotta get it. Like so, I became pretty comfortable pretty quick. But yeah, it's great. Like it's kind of nuts too, especially when it's like your DNA. Like some of your friends have kids, and you hold them, and it's like, this is great. It's a baby. It's cute and stuff. But for some reason, now that it's like, I don't know if it's because it's my DNA or because it's my brother, but like I'll just sit there for like 4 hours and like stare at him. It's weird. It's like fire. It's the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. Like I have such problem. Like it's almost like looking at your phone. I just like hyper fixate on him. It's crazy. And like we'll babysit and just like I'm always watching him, and it's just like a really weird kind of feeling. But it's been awesome so far to be like an uncle and spend some time with him.
No pressure, but you're gonna have to pitch long enough now so that.
I know.
I can go watch Uncle Tyler go throw
for real. So he can tell my kids that I was cool one day. Because I always talk to guys who've like had kids, like their oldest son had seen them play for a couple of years and has this like really profound respect for him. And then like the middle child and the youngest child are like, shut up, Dad. Like you don't even have a job. Like it's kind of. So I think that ship has sailed for me, for my child, but at least for my brother's son or my nephew, maybe he'll see me play and remember for a little bit, and maybe he can pass the message along.
Yeah, that's it. I love that.
Yeah.
Tell your family hello and an early happy Merry Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or Festivus or whatever you celebrate.
There you go. Nice. I'll let them know.
Please. And great catching up with you. It's always
Yeah,
dude.
Good catching up with you too. Thanks for having me on again.
Oh, of course. This is what we do. Shout out to our amazing producer, the one and only Robbie Scirocco, for your world champion, Tyler Glasnow. I am Chris Rose. We will see you next time here on the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of John Boy Media.